Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to one of our weekly Q&A sessions, which through the summer will become more than just the one a week, hence why this is the second of the week. To finish off the week here on Sunday night, I'm going up against stiff competition, I've been led to believe. I was actually in the middle of watching the Canadian Grand Prix there, which I have abandoned to come and do the stream, so I'm up against the Canadian Grand Prix. I'm also up against Soccer Aid. I never knew that was tonight until a short while ago. So stiff competition. But by the way, we've only just went live and we've already got over 130 live viewers for a Sunday night when there's no really an awful lot to talk about. A couple of things which I think, to be quite honest, quite insignificant. But stay around. We're going to make them significant. That's what's the main thing. So thank you everybody for tuning in. It's nice to see you. There's my pals over at the Unrestricted View. Hello there, JP. Nice to see you. By the way, JP, my WhatsApp's broke. It's broke. I need to try and fix it because I can't get on it. I'm not patching you. I feel terrible. Nice to see you. It's nice to see everybody else in the chat as well, some of the regulars and all the rest of it. Here with us this evening, people asking for updates on the goalkeeper. Yes, there is an update from what I've been led to believe. There's an update on that. It doesn't necessarily mean Celtic are signing them. We'll get into it all. We've got a hell of a lot to cover. Thank you very much for tuning in this evening. Let's try and get through some of these stories, and then in the final sort of 15-20 minutes, as we usually do, we'll get into the Q&A session. If you haven't already, please may I urge you to drop down below, hit like, hit subscribe, especially hit that like button if you haven't. It would be much appreciated for trying to get the content into the recommended section of YouTube. And also, if you want to donate, you can always donate as well as always on these live streams. Anyway, shall we get into the news for this evening? As you can see, I've got a couple of things identified in the title of the video, the stream, and the thumbnail of the stream as well that we should go over. We're going to start with talking about the situation with Kyogo. Well, I say situation. There's no situation with Kyogo. For some reason online, there seems to have been a false situation created where this terrifying fear has entered people's minds that Kyogo might be leaving the club this summer. If you've been watching the channel over the last few weeks, and since the kind of curtain falling on the season, I've said on these live streams, I've said in the channel a number of times, I am 99% confident Kyogo won't be leaving Celtic. However, Facebook groups have got their rumours in. A fake account from Japan claiming they know it all, which has got a track record for being wrong, claimed that Kyogo was off. And recently Football Insider, I think today in fact, Football Insider posted an article saying that Celtic were going to get rid of Kyogo for £25 million. I don't even know where to begin with that, because what a lot of nonsense. And if you do believe that, you may as well log yourself off of social media. There is number one, I've said this, I don't think Kyogo will, and we're going to get on his comments in a moment, which basically confirms that he's not leaving Celtic. This whole window leading up to the window, I've said that Kyogo won't leave Celtic, but if for any reason you believe that Celtic were going to get £25 million, if you believe Football Insider is just a horrendous source, it's never been a reliable source, always one of the worst sources available to get your news from. But if you believe that Celtic are going to get 25 million for Kyogo, we'll be lucky to get 10. The guy's, 29 years old, and he didn't have a great season. So just behave. Anyway, we all love Kyogo. He's arguably the best striker we've had since Henrik Larsson. For a lot of people, including myself, I probably would sit down and say he's the best striker we've had since Henrik Larsson. He has commented on his future, and he's made it clear that he doesn't plan on going back to Japan anytime soon. Of course, the rumours were that he was thinking about going back there. There was links of Urawa Red Diamonds in the Japanese J-League. He's rubbished that. He doesn't want to go back home anytime soon to move back to a club there. We'll have a look at some of his comments, shall we? This was in a Japanese outlet. Of course, Kyogo has spent some of his summer holidays in Japan. He was recently at, was it Vissel Kobe? He was at one of the Japanese clubs. He was there doing the halftime events, the equivalent of the Paradise Windfall. He was over visiting back home, and while he's there, he's obviously taking part in some media, some interviews, and this was one of them. He was asked about his future. So here we go. We're looking from this point on here. It said, when asked about his future goals, he mentioned competing in the World Cup. He said it's not just me, but all soccer players. That's their number one goal, to play for the national team. I want to keep scoring goals wherever I am, so I don't lose a spot to players. The Japanese national team in the World Cup are waiting for me. I want to cherish what is in front of me. And then obviously getting linked with moves abroad, returning to Japan. Honestly, I'm not sure what my future holds, but I want to work hard overseas for as long as I can. And if I can come back someday, I'd like to, and play in front of you all. But the key part of the Kyogo interview in the Japanese media is, for now, he's wanting to work hard overseas, abroad. This is a loose translation, by the way. Take this with a pinch of salt, this translation. It's not word for word what he said. Google Translate isn't obviously the most reliable, but he has said along the lines of he doesn't plan on leaving abroad, anytime soon to head back to Japan. He wants to stay abroad as long as he can. So Kyogo has confirmed himself, has no intentions in moving back to Japan anytime soon. To be honest, this story altogether has been a non-starter for me since the initial talk that crept up on social media. It was one that's easy to lure yourself into if you believe a lot of the stuff that you see in forums and Facebook groups. There's never once been an actual source out there with a reliable enough thread of information to claim that he's going to go back to Japan. So it's been a non-starter from the beginning. And I'm glad that Kyogo himself, the whole point of me talking about it tonight is I'm glad to see Kyogo himself come out and put an absolute end to it all and just label it as nonsense, really, by saying he wants to stay abroad as long as possible. He's not got any feasible moves on the table at the minute. Obviously, things can change in the world of football. That's just facts of life. You know, a team might want him on the 1st of July when the worldwide transfer or the Europe-wide transfer window opens, but I don't think that will be the case, to be quite honest. I think he's perfectly content here. I think that he's probably overlooked by a lot of clubs over Europe and down south, which is good for us. Kyogo won't be leaving Celtic this summer. I'm not a reliable enough source to sit here and say I can virtually guarantee it, but I feel like it's almost a definite that Kyogo is still at Celtic next season, so we'll just wait and see how that unfolds. But he has confirmed it himself. So that was the first story to talk about. However, there has been an update on the Kieran Tierney situation. Now, I know what you're thinking straight away, and I want to get into the Q&A and such as well, so bear with me. We will get to the questions and such in a moment, and I want to get your points and such across. Now, I know what a lot of you might be thinking. Ryan, you made a video literally Tuesday, Monday, whatever day it was, saying Kieran Tierney's not going to come to Celtic. I still stand by that. This article and this news that has emerged today surrounding Kieran Tierney's availability does nothing for me. It changes nothing. I'm not saying I don't like this is the point I want to make perfectly clear, because so many people don't listen to me, and I want to make it clear right now. I would love Kieran Tierney to play for Celtic again. If Celtic were to go for him, I would be happy with it. I would chew the hand off at the opportunity of him coming back. So not for a moment am I saying I don't want Kieran Tierney back at Celtic. What I am saying is Kieran Tierney won't be at Celtic next season. However, there was a report that emerged today across a lot of mainstream articles, not just up here in Scotland, but down south, of course, where he's playing right now with Arsenal, claiming that Arsenal have set their price tag for Kieran Tierney's departure in this transfer window, which is significantly lower than what I originally would have assumed. So I'll hold my hands up and say I was wrong on one count of the Kieran Tierney situation, and that was the amount of money that I thought Arsenal were going to want to sell him for. Of course, Arsenal signed Kieran Tierney from Celtic in 2019 for a fee upwards of £25 million when the final figure came together with the add-ons and such. Upwards of £25 million Arsenal spent, and they are ready to make a dramatic cut on that fee they paid for him to get rid of him this summer. So this isn't the original source that reported this story, but this is from the Daily Record's article. Pardon the adverts that you get when you're on these websites, but the Daily Record reporting on that story that broke today, saying that Arsenal are believed to be prepared to let defender Kieran Tierney go for as little as £10 million million this summer as they look to trim their squad ahead of next season. There's not much else in the article itself that suggests that Celtic are ready to go in for it. He will be back in London after Euro 2024. The Gunners are prepared to let him go for less of what half they paid Celtic for, according to the Sunday Post. So the original article itself, the original story itself, was reported in the Sunday Post, I believe the paper edition, this morning. £10 million. As I said, and I don't mean to be somebody who breaks the hearts of Celtic fans who are desperate to see Kieran Tierney back in this summer transfer window, there is no way Celtic are going to go out and spend £10 million on an injury-prone Kieran Tierney. There is just absolutely no way on earth that I could see that happening. And that's just me sitting down and being honest, because what would be the point in getting myself hyped up about it or getting myself excited about it? I don't even think it would be smart business for Celtic to do it. £10 million is a hell of a lot of money. And I'll quote what I said in my video earlier in the week. One day, I really do think Kieran Tierney will play for Celtic again. Whether it's as a bit part player, a first team player, I think the day will come where Kieran Tierney puts on the green and white hoops once more. It might be at the very end of his career, but it's not going to be anytime soon. What does Celtic get out of paying £10 million for a left back if there's no guarantee he's going to be fit for half the season? It is clinging on to nostalgia and favouritism, something that doesn't benefit the progression of the club at this moment in time. Without Kieran Tierney having a clear fitness record ahead of him, there would be no benefit right now to him signing without the guarantees of him remaining in the squad week in, week out, because right now it wouldn't happen. If Celtic could somehow pick up Kieran Tierney for half of that money, of course they should go in, but £10 million as a starting offer when there's going to be competition across Europe, just... you need to let it go. I can't reiterate the point heavily enough from what I said in the week. Kieran Tierney will not be a Celtic player. You need to let it go. And I seen somebody say, I want to get a few people's opinions up on this situation. Caden saying, I cringe every time I hear Kieran Tierney rumours. Put a shutter on that. I don't even think there's a real necessity to put a shutter on it. The shutter should already be there. The club do not operate in this manner. The club do not operate in a world when they spend £10 million on a 26-year-old player with injury problems that go through the roof. It just makes no logical sense for the club to go and make that transfer happen for that sum of money. Absolutely not. Stephen saying I'd offer £8 million, see how it goes, or even try for a loan. Listen, a loan deal wouldn't be a bad idea, but there's no way Arsenal want to loan him out. He's coming into a period in his contract where it's probably now or never for them to make some money off of the player. I don't think they'd have any interest in loaning him unless there was a guarantee come the end of the loan deal Celtic paid a fee around £10 million. That's just the reality of everything that would be happening there. But, you know, £8 million, what would you say to it? I don't know. I personally still don't see it. Mike saying, so Kieran Tierney, Armstrong, Sinclair, Dembele, Edouard, Forster, Kenny Dalglish are all joining Celtic, it seems. Well, this is the thing. This is the worst point of the transfer window we're currently at, because we're in that opening few weeks where nothing happens. We're in that opening few weeks before an international tournament when not a lot can happen. And then that's when the rumours of previous Celtic players start to come out the woodwork. That's when all of this talk about players that used to play for us dominates the field, because there isn't anything in the works about players we're actually going to sign, because that's going to take a few more weeks. So it's a time where in social media and in the tabloids, lazy journalism really rises to the top. And that's why it's an easy click for them to make their money, to get their views and clicks over the very short period of time this is before the actual transfers come into effect. So yeah, I think Kieran Tierney might drive Villa. I said Villa. I suggested Villa to my friends, my mates, because Unai Emery was the one that signed them for Arsenal, wasn't it? So I thought Villa would maybe make sense in that regard. But then again, the injury problems probably doesn't help with all of that. Ryan has see both arguments, but I also see why KT might be one of the players they spend 10 on, especially with Brendan. Listen, never say never, but I just feel like it makes zero to little sense, to be quite honest. There's a massive lack of ambition from commenters on here. If I were talking about me, I'm like, listen, I've got no ambition. I've never had ambition. Adam, thank you for the donation. It is much appreciated. The first donation of the stream donates a £5 saying, would take him back in a heartbeat. He's a childhood hero of mine. Wouldn't think about Forster, Armstrong, etc. Which is fair. Look, listen, I would never critique anybody's opinion of wanting him back. I completely understand that. But in order to move forward, I think a big part of football is not to look backwards. And unless there was an actual deal that benefited the club on the table, I don't think this is one that I think that benefits your own nostalgia and such. It would benefit my nostalgia. It would benefit my love of the player that is Kieran Tierney. But does £10 million and a left back who's really... Listen, look at his run at Sociedad. I don't think he played 3 or 4 consecutive games for them with the way he was in and out with injuries. I couldn't tell you the exact figures of that. I'd have to go and do the research of how many games he managed to string up in a row starting. But it just doesn't make any feasible sense, I think, for Celtic to go and break the bank and break their own transfer record on a left back who might not be fit. It's as simple as that. But I appreciate your point, Adam. Thank you for the donation. Absolutely. People saying that he might go back to Spain or an Italian team. Wouldn't be surprised if he ended up. Would Celtic pay $10 million on an unknown left back? Probably not. No, I think that we should expect to see Celtic pay a lot less when it comes to the left back position. But listen, my end point is no matter if it's £10 million, which is a significantly smaller fee that I expected Arsenal to ask for, I don't think that Celtic will be getting him this window, or any window anytime soon. I think the only way that he comes in is at the end of a contract on a free to come back to Celtic in a position in his career where he's ready to come back. I think Kieran Tierney's out for a bit of redemption in his own career, and I don't think he gets that redemption by coming back to Celtic right now. I think that he probably wants another move that gives him a chance to go and play and excel in his craft elsewhere before he even thinks about coming back home to Celtic. I think that would be his honest point of view from it as well, because he's an ambitious boy. And the move to Arsenal hasn't went the way he wanted it to. It started off really bright, looked good for him. And then obviously the last couple of years since Arteta's taken over, it's just not been the same. So I think he'll want to go somewhere else and to try and get that. So before we get into the Q&A session, by the way, we have over 450 viewers right now, which I appreciate the hell out of for this Sunday night. So thank you. Please smash the like button if you haven't already. Thank you to the donations that we've had as well so far, Adam. We have one more thing to talk about before we get into the Q&A, and it is surrounding the links that have put us with Peter Vindal Jensen of Sparta Prague, the goalkeeper that we were linked with earlier in the week by Mark Hendry of Football Scotland. Not going to comment on the realisticness of this happening because it's not my place to suggest how much truth or not is in this article. I think it does seem trustworthy. Whether or not it's the option Celtic go for is different. However, there has been an update from Football Scotland and Mark Hendry over the past 24 hours surrounding Peter Vendal Jensen. Mark Hendry has reported that they will need to pay at least £4 million for the keeper, and that's what Celtic are trying to go for. Celtic are apparently pushing for the player, according to Mark Hendry. Remember, everything with a pinch of salt, but it will take a fee of upwards of £4 million. So we'll watch how that develops through the week when it comes to Peter Vindal Jensen. That is the update on him. So I have went through the big 3 stories that I wanted to talk about on the stream. To recap, Kyogo's going nowhere anytime soon. I could have told you that fucking anyway. I did tell you that anyway. Kieran Tierney will be available for £10 million in this summer window. Will Celtic go for it, make it happen? Probably not, but it's there. And then finally, Peter Vindal Jensen apparently demanding a fee, or Sparta Prague demanding a fee of £4 million for the goalkeeper after signing him for £3 million in this transfer window. So, are we ready to go on to the Q&A then, shall we? Because I want to get your points. I want to talk about everything that you guys want to talk about. And whether that's Kieran Tierney, Peter Vindal Jensen, or anything else, I absolutely want to talk about it. So let's go, shall we? Let's go. Celtic Unrestricted View saying that seems a solid link, this one of the goalkeeper, as Stephen McGowan has also put his name to the Jensen link. I believe there's something in it, absolutely. I think there's solid reports in this. I've been doing this long enough now to be able to suss out when there's nothing in something and there's something in nothing. And there's something in this. And that's not me saying that this is the goalkeeper that Celtic are going to sign. But the definite signs are there that he's a target for the club. And if they can strike a deal which they're happy with, apparently this is the keeper Rodgers wants, if the articles are to be believed. So Yeah, I would keep an eye out on it because it might be the keeper we end up going for. I agree with you, Blake. I don't think 4 million's that bad whatsoever when you consider the current economic state of football transfer markets. So yeah, I don't think 4 million is that bad. Would I take back Moritz Jens? No, Ewan. I would. I liked Moritz Jens, but no, I wouldn't take him back. I don't see a point, really, to be quite honest. Why? I just want us to think about new players rather than players that have played for us. Yeah, there is rumours about De Gea. They've came from nowhere. There's no retractable sort of... You can't pull that story, that rumour back and find anywhere where it's coming from. I think it's just a lot of Celtic fans trying to talk it into existence. David De Gea will not be Celtic's goalkeeper next year. Listen, I'm a Manchester United man. I love David De Gea. I've always loved David De Gea. I would kill to have him at Celtic. It's just not going to happen. So listen, I would disregard that from your minds. I've seen a lot of people commenting about it in my videos recently, and no. Thank you to Blake for the donation. Of course, if you donate, we'll prioritise your questions and get them up on screen. If Welsh leaves, do I see McKenna coming in? I think we might see McKenna come in. I just feel like it's one that makes sense for the manager. And to be honest, I don't knock it. I've never been a fan of McKenna, but on a free, my worry about McKenna coming in would be his positioning in the team. Where in the pecking order would he be? I don't want him to be Celtic's starting partner to Cameron Carter-Vickers, but I certainly wouldn't mind him as a backup option. It's just whether or not he'd be happy with that. Of course, he spent some time out on loan at FC Copenhagen in Denmark over the past 6 months. It seemed to go rather well from what I've heard. He's definitely a good player. I don't know if I'd want him to be starting for Celtic. But on a free, the board will absolutely love it. Yeah, I mean, De Gea, exactly. De Gea was on like 500 grand a week or something. No, maybe not that much. I think it was on like £400,000 a week at Manchester United. And I know he's been out of football for a year and he's probably just dying to get his teeth back into it now and play again. But I don't think that constitutes a 90% wage cut to come to Celtic, or even more than that. I think that he'll end up somewhere else. So, as I said, it's one of those ones that I think certain fans are trying to talk into existence, and I just don't see it happening whatsoever. Because my head's not in the clouds, quite frankly. If we're spending serious money, we could try, but no, we couldn't. No, we couldn't. Sorry to break your dreams there, Rich. No, we couldn't. No. The captain of Aston Villa is well out of the price range of Celtic Football Club, I can guarantee you that. Sorry if I miss questions, as always, you know how it works by now. If you really want me to answer something, Peter Grant is a Celtic legend, of course, and I have a hell of a lot of respect for Peter Grant, but if you listened to anything Peter Grant said on Celtic TV throughout the COVID season, you'll know that you're probably best not listening to him, to be quite honest. Actually, funnily enough, Peter Grant, the first ever manager that I ever interviewed. There you go. There's a fun fact if you didn't know about me. First ever manager I interviewed. Thank you, Adam, again. Adam, you're too nice. Random one, but how come you aren't playing for the Scottish YouTube team anymore? That's a question I've never actually had. You know that. I don't know. There was nothing happened. If you're looking for drama, I hate to disappoint you. Listen, I never really applied myself maybe as much as they would like me to, but listen, it's not for me. I enjoy playing five-a-sides, and that'll do me. So there's no expansive reason to Adam. So sorry to disappoint you, but I really do appreciate your donation. Thank you very much. John McGinn, 40 million. Yeah, exactly. That's how much they probably want for him. Should we sign more Scottish players if they're good enough? Yeah, I want us to sign Lennon Miller. I really want us to sign Lennon Miller. I think he's a good player. I think he'd be good for the future, but I don't know if the club are interested. I'd understand if they weren't right now, because he's 17 years of age and he's not going to play for the club anytime soon. It would be continuous loan deals for him, if anything. But first team ready Scottish players, if they're good enough, then yeah, of course. Let's see, Ewan saying, if Welsh, Lagerbielke and Kobayashi leave, do you see 2 more defenders coming in? McKenna gives me Nat Phillips, Shane Duffy. Same, to be fair, he does give me a bit of it, but I think he is better than they two. Plus, he's played up here, which is an advantage compared to Phillips and Duffy. But yeah, I think they need to sign a couple of centre-halves. I think one is the priority right now. Mark saying, De Gea isn't on a wage cut if he's getting no wages. He's made his money, same as Hart. No about money for him now, surely. I wouldn't be so sure. Listen, as a Manchester United fan, I can tell you it was all about the money for David De Gea. I tell you that. Listen, I know what you mean. Yeah, technically he's not taking a wage cut because he's been out of football for a year, and he doesn't necessarily need the money after being on hundreds of thousands of pounds a week for Manchester United for a decade. But I think with players like De Gea, you just need to have a sense of realism about things. I know that we love to big ourselves up. Celtic are one of Europe's biggest clubs. But if David De Gea got the chance to go to even a Sevilla or an Athletic Bilbao, or, well, maybe not them because they have the Basque rule, of course, but a Spanish side, a French side, he's got to jump at this opportunity over Celtic. That's just the reality of it. I don't know what's been up with him to not get an offer over the past year. I don't know if it's been a deliberate decision from him. But listen, if he's taken a year out, I don't think he's going to be desperate to jump back in by coming to the Scottish Premiership. I think you need to, and I don't mean to put us or our league down, but sometimes you just need to look at things from a realistic point of view. And that's with my thinking on this whole David De Gea myth that makes no little sense to me. I know people won't like that, and people won't like me being so down, but it's just, why would I get my hopes up about something that I just think is so improbable? You know, I just think it's completely and utterly farcical, to be quite honest. A very funny plunge. Not allowed to think about the future, of course. I like Lennon Miller, not to come in and start for Celtic, but I think it'd be a good investment for the future. We do need to think about the future. God, what's your language, plunge? Jeez. Let's see. What we on 26 minutes? Time for a good few more questions. Yeah, let's get a good few. It feels like we're not going to sign either. Listen, calm, everybody, calm. Take calm. It's the early days in this window. There's a long way to go. Listen, Adam Idah still might become a Celtic player. Is people asking, do I have any news on Adam Idah? On the other hand, no. It's literally there's been nothing really since the original, Celtic want him, Rodgers wants him, Idah wants the move. No communique whatsoever when it comes to Celtic making an offer yet. I think that it will take a couple of weeks to get cooking anyway. So what I will say on Adam Idah is be patient. And in general, with this transfer window, we are on the 9th of June. The window internationally doesn't open till the 1st of July. So right now, just be patient for the month of June. Things will start bubbling away. They'll start cooking. Patience. Calm and patience. We have the whole of June. We have the whole of July. And here's the man that I was dying to see in here tonight, by the way. He's here, and just in time before I end up wrapping things up at some point tonight. I've been dying to see you, Voice Tech, my man. Thank you for the check. Check Krona, I believe. Thank you for the donation, Voice Tech. This is the man. Do you know what, Voice Tech? You're a wanted man, by the way, because all I've seen in my comment section since the Peter Vindal Jensen links has been, where's Voice Tech? Where's the Prague fan who comes into the streams? He'll be able to tell us because, Sparta fan, Sparta player. Voice Tech says, hi Ryan, on Friday I watched an interview with Vindal for Czech Sports Media, and he sounded really pleased in Sparta and told me his girlfriend loves Prague. So Celtic have to really convince not only Sparta, but also him. Yeah. Well, that's a big stumbling block of it all. Of course, this is a young, well, I say young, he's 26, I think. He's still a young guy, and he'll have a young family, his girlfriend, whatever, who'll just be settling in Prague. And there'll definitely be a big part of that where I think that Celtic need to, get the checkbook out and give him a wage that maybe convinces him to come to Celtic. I think that one thing, I want to do a bit of research here. Voice Tech would maybe be able to tell me the answer to this, but I'm going to look up what Sparta's top paid player is. Sparta Prague wages. Let's see. Who is the highest paid footballer in the Czech First League? So Sparta have a couple, but only two players reportedly on over £10,000 a week for Sparta Prague. That being Jakub Jankto of £25,000 a week and Jan Kuchta, who's on apparently £32,000 a week. And then everybody below those two are on less than £10,000 a week. The next highest paid earner after those two is £9,500 for David Pavelka. who's on £9,500 a week. So I think Celtic have the fiscal advantage over, the financial advantage over Sparta Prague, and offer to maybe make him wage that is enticing enough for him to come over. Whether or not Celtic want to get the chequebook out or not is obviously a big part of it. But thank you, Wojtek, because that's something that I don't think many of us, including myself as Celtic fans, would have known about Peter Vindal Jensen. I don't think a lot of us would have knew that he took part in this interview and said whatever. So thank you for letting us know. Also, thank you for the donation. You're a legend, Wojtek. It's always nice to see you. Let's see. Yeah, just calm. You know, the EDA negotiations will, I think, be underway. I think naturally the Celtic have probably made contact in trying to make the deal happen, but just a bit of patience is needed, as Martin's saying. Just stay calm about it, you know. This is the bad thing about the age of football that we live in now, because social media constantly pumps out rumour after rumour and article after article, and people like Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein are moving so fast and so quick, reporting on other clubs. There's almost an envious side of supporters that comes out, and a jealous side that comes out when it's not your club that's being linked. Because you load up Twitter and you see Fiorentina, Sparta Prague, Lyon, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen, Copenhagen, and because you see all of these clubs being linked with players, it almost generates, and it's natural, I'm not moaning at fans for being like this, you can't help it, but because you wake up and, oh well, there you go, it must be old info, thank you Wojtek, but because you see all of this, the modern age of football, and fans are like, oh, we need to move, we need to go quicker, we need somebody. It's the 9th of June. You know, it's the 9th of June. And that's the thing I hate about social media in this age of following football, because it just causes an online farce and impatience and everything. I'm getting asked a lot, do I watch Still Game, Kailash? Yes, I was actually watching it during my dinner, actually, if you must know. Yeah, I've watched it thousands of times. Connor, thank you for the donation. He's asking, would I buy young Scottish talents and loan them back to their previous clubs to develop before possibly coming back to make an impact at Celtic? God's sake, Still Games taking over the chat. Thank you, Connor. If I Connor Carr, thank you. I wouldn't say to an extent that. Yeah, depending who it is. For example, Lennon Miller, who, fucking hell, this stream's turning about Lennon Miller. He'll be chuffed, you know, Ryan Mominate's obsessed with Lennon Miller all of a sudden. For somebody like him, and for the couple that I think are really, really good and excel in areas, yeah, absolutely. But I don't think necessarily we should just go and buy a whole load of them and then loan them back. I think that's actually quite dangerous, to be quite honest, because not only are you trying to monopolise the entire Scottish market, but you know, you're toying with the careers of young players. You know, you're not giving them a sense of security in their careers. So I wouldn't say go out and just sign, you know, 10 different Scottish players and then loan them back. If it's somebody who definitely has potential and catches the eye, Lennon Miller, then yeah, absolutely. So just depending on the player, Connor, would be my answer. When they look good enough and they have potential, absolutely. Right, I've went well over how long I'm meant to go in these streams tonight, because it should only be half an hour long, so it's watchable back for those who couldn't catch it live. So I am going to wrap it up here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in on the stream this evening. It is much appreciated. By over 500 viewers on a Sunday night is absolutely insane, so I cannot appreciate it, and I'll tell you how much I appreciate it. It really goes a long way. So hit like, hit subscribe. We'll be back with the regularly scheduled videos tomorrow, considering what happen, depending on what happens in the news. So thank you for tuning in. It is much appreciated. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you all through the week for the nonsense we'll probably get hit with. So God bless, and I'll see you next time.